for 32, almost 33 years. It's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do, like before my time is up at Chapman, it is making sure that we've built a company that will stand the test of time. And my goal as the current owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, is to ensure that we can pass the ownership of the organization on to the next generation of people coming up the ranks today. One area of our business where we impact the local communities pretty heavily is the school systems. So we work for school systems all over the northern part of the state of New Jersey. We operate their water systems, their wastewater systems. We do a lot of their permitting and compliance work, and we ensure that the water that the kids drink is clean. We go out and do the sampling to ensure that it's not contaminated. And we also treat the wastewater that's being generated at a lot of these facilities as well before it gets discharged to the environment. So we are supporting the local community through supporting the boards of education and the local school systems.
All About Bugs Tennessee Pest and Termite Control is all about family too. Our family-owned business has successfully been in operation in Sevierville and surrounding areas for almost a decade. Especially during these times, a pest-free home is necessary for a sustainable, disease-free home or business. Our services include residential, rental, commercial, hotel, motel, cabins, you name it. Free quotes and inspections for new customers, and most of our services are contract-free. Our All About Bugs Tennessee family is devoted to delivering the best possible pest control service with a friendly smile. Contact us at 865-453-5574 today.
If it's bugging you, you should be bugging us.
What's up, Coach?
Yeah, Troy. You're not going to start this game?
Oh. Did you just sing that you're gonna bench me to the avocados from Mexico jingle?
Well, they make everything better.
Tastes good? They're good for you? No way. Guacamole. That's cool.
That one better than I thought. Get another tray and the kicker.
Avocados from Mexico.
Can I help you?
We just busted the water main.
Did you just sing about a broken water main to the avocados from Mexico jingle?
Yes.
Well, you know how they make everything better.
They taste good, and they're good for you. And
Oh, guacamole.
I mashed it myself.
You know, I like the water shooting up. It's like Vegas.
Ta-da!
Avocados from Mexico.
And here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out to 37.
Oh!
The ball gets burned!
Cabot, where did he come from? Here comes Slack.
A punch from the 33.
It's a drag race.
The Magic Man wins it Auto Club.
It's on to the regular season, and with that comes a chance for some new names. The stakes are high today as this race dictates who is in for race 1 and who gets to watch from the couch. Live from the virtual Daytona International Speedways, it's the Chapman Environmental Series Duels at Daytona, presented by Racing Revolutions. Welcome everybody to V-Speed. I'm your host Mike Noss, and joined alongside me tonight in working productions in the booth is V-Speed's very own Morgan Cook for the Avocados from Mexico Duels at Daytona.
After last week's Clash event, it's time to get down to business, preparing for what is NASCAR's equivalent of the Super Bowl. Before the first points-paying race can happen, though, drivers must qualify their way into the event. With more entries and pit stalls, drivers will first have to run a time trial lap to dictate who is fast enough to make it in, after which the front row is locked into the Daytona 500 next week. The remaining drivers are split into two groups, outside row and inside row. Each group will have a heat race, a duel, to improve their starting position within their row for the main event. Each duel is 40 laps. Odd number qualifiers, 3, 5, 7, etc., will be in Heat 1. We'll see them first. Even number qualifiers, 4, 6, and 8, etc., will be in Heat 2. We'll see them later on tonight. The winner of the first duel, Heat 1, will start third. Second place in that duel will start fifth, etc. The winner of the second duel will start fourth. Second will start sixth, etc., filling in the inside and outside line, respectively. And looking at the World Center of Racing, it's easy to understand how hard it can be to make it in, with a realistic chance that some of the main names in this series don't make the race.
Yeah, we are here tonight at, of course, the famous historical Daytona International Speedways, a lovely 2.5-mile circuit that has 31-degree bankings with 18 degrees in the front. We also, of course, have four corners, a tri-oval, a little bit of a different track. The big speedway, as we'd mentioned earlier, of course, this is the NASCAR's version of the Super Bowl, and we have it here up first. As we head on to the race analysis, of course, tonight's race is going to be 40 laps, 2 races apiece, and pit road speed down to 55 miles an hour. Front row qualifiers will be locked into that main event for P1 and 2 on the front row. And we have 2 green-white checkered attempts here tonight in Daytona quality with iRacing fixed setups. Also, we will have pace laps counting towards the end of the race as well. But as we have it here and get ready to head into it, Morgan, super excited. And of course, it is going to be a real thriller.
Yeah, this race always does. It always does prove out to be a thrilling event. It's interesting because if you watch these races in real life, actual NASCAR races that are happening on Thursday, tomorrow, usually one race is really tame and the other race is full of cautions. And I'm curious to see what it's like here tonight because I've never run a dual race. I've never seen a dual race on iRacing, so this will be an interesting way to do it.
We will see the cat will be out of the bag here tonight, and we have plenty of drivers as well to see it. It's going to be 2 heats, so do look forward to that. And as we are getting ready, the qualifying should be coming to an end here, and we're going to be seeing, we got 2 minutes left, and we will be seeing the number 1 and number 2 slots for the Daytona 250 coming up next week. It'll be on February 21st. It's the Coastal Financial 250 at Daytona. Definitely an exciting one. We're going to see currently Burns on pole position, the number 9. Gilbert trying to sneak his way in there, 24 thousandths of a second off, tied, in fact, with the likes of the number 11. And we now have Nail hopping into the slots. Very, very tight. Look at those margins as well. Less than 50 thousandths of a second separating. Of course, the human eye, for in case anyone was curious, takes a whopping 0.2 of a second to blink. So just a little bit of a time comparison there for anyone that isn't familiar. Yeah, these are some pretty tight times.
And they will be. We're currently holding it wide open and just trying to stick it down to that yellow line, drift up a little bit off of the corner to try and keep momentum up. And all these cars having the same setup, it's all exactly down to the driver. And that's how close the drivers are in this series. I'm talking thousandths across 2.5 miles. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, we have a load of talent here tonight. Super exciting to see, of course. Like to see cars off there pulling to the side. We're seeing some now come to an end of their pit or of their session as the times are going to slowly stop to reel in. But As we have it, you can see the entire field separated by less than 50 thousandths of a second, but currently Burns and Robinson are going to be the main heavy hitters.
I don't know if we have anyone left to qualify here. Let's have a look. She's with the cameras. There's a car. 58 has a chance. Looks like he finished his. I think we have our top 2 all sorted out here.
Jeremy Burns and Matt Robinson. They are going to be starting off P1 and 2 next week for the 250.
Congratulations to them. I'm sure they'll be celebrating all week, not having to worry about the duel. Let's get down there trackside.
We're going to be seeing some tight racing here tonight with a jam-packed grid and with everybody trying to fight for their slot here in the actual main event next week. It is going to be quite exciting. Of course, we have 2 races as well, so do look forward to it. 2 races here for the Daytona Duels at Daytona. Of course, brought to you by Avocados from Mexico.
Let's see if the grid's going to work here. It does not, unfortunately, because we have the outside row included. So we're just going to hide that, and we'll use the ticker to get ourselves sorted out here tonight. A little ATVO issue from behind the scenes. Don't worry, though. The lineups are correct, and we should see a couple terrific races here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeremy Burns starting off in pole position. No, wait. Jeremy Burns isn't starting off in pole position, correct? Because he is
gridded.
On?
He is gridded. I think he has to start the race. I'm not exactly sure how that part works. I believe all he has to do is complete a lap. And he locks up that pole position. I don't know about that for sure, but that's my assumption. We'll see here. Yeah, I guess we'll see when they cross the flag the first time if he pulls off or not. But everyone else is racing for a spot in the Daytona 250 next week from today.
Chris Nail looking for his opportunity with Daryl Johnson. They're going to be pseudo on the front row. Once again, of course, iRacing not offering the full support of the duels, but 40 laps is on the card here tonight. This is 1 race of 2. We have, of course, Morgan, if you want to explain the qualifying a little bit more.
Sure. All right. So we just had single car qualifying. You saw it live here, and we had our top 2. Jeremy Burns and I believe Michael Robinson qualified first and second. Now, all of the cars in this field, which you can see on the screen right now, qualified in an odd number position: 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, etc., all the way down the list. And you'll notice that our first place qualifier, obviously starting on the pole right now. 3rd place qualifier, Chris Nail, is starting to his outside in 2nd. Then Daryl Johnson qualified 7th. He is starting 3rd. You're getting the gist. All of these drivers are racing to move up or down in their respective row, which is the inside line. If you win this race tonight, you will start 3rd in the big show next week. If you finish 2nd, you will start 5th in the big show next week, etc., etc. So you can gain or lose positions through this qualifying race. The duel we'll see in a few minutes after this one. The second race will just determine the outside line, where you start, whether you move up or down in that line. We're racing to make the Daytona 250 next week.
And welcome everybody over to the V-Speed channel as well. We're about to see the pace car pulling in here, and the flag gonna go green here at the Daytona Duels. Not too many position changes. The drivers being fairly respectful. We also are seeing Jeremy Burns continue off at the front here. Chris Nail in P2 with Daryl Johnson in P3. As they move along here, you can see nip and tuck, bumper to bumper, pushing each other along. The real question is Jeremy out? Looks like, as it stands, I think Jeremy is going to be out out here on this racetrack. Once again, welcome anybody back again. We have Drivers Network America DNA. Welcome. If you are confused, don't worry. You're not the only one. Somebody who comes from circle racing, I also am slightly confused. Or not circle, excuse me. Who comes from circuit racing. I'm also a little confused, but here we have some lovely racing for the P1. Roder is in front here with the minutes behind. It looks like Burns is going to be falling back behind the field there a little bit. He's changing in position up at the front. You can see the lovely environmental Chapman logo on the back. Pushing each other along here. Everybody being fairly respectful. No cautions out just yet, knock on wood. Of course, the spectacle of Daytona, one of the most famous tracks in history. Now, of course, this track was first founded, well, not this specific track, but Daytona, the sandy beaches of Daytona, raced here 76 years ago as of tomorrow for the first time, back in 1948. Absolutely incredible. This track was founded back in 1959, of course, when it was built here. But the history for NASCAR is rife throughout, and currently Roder is going to be making history himself. Raider, my apologies. Burns and Raider trading positions there a little bit as they're off to the side. I think the inside there looks like a little bit of a helping hand from the car behind. I think that's going to be Chris Nail, potentially. Maybe Sam. It's the 49 car giving a help to the 53 there. That's actually Daryl Johnson lending that helping hand along. As we see it, Morgan, we're seeing some very respectful driving.
Yeah, it's been clean so far. We are 5 laps into this event. And, yeah, they're keeping it tidy right now. Good to see.
Laps here at Daytona are a little bit longer than, of course, we saw last week. And there was the clash at the Coliseum that we had. And that was a nice, lovely quarter-mile track. Well, you add a good, well, not 4, not 8, but you add a good 10 of those into here. That's how many you can fit. It's a 2.5-mile circuit here. 4.3 or 4.0 kilometers right across the pond.
Or in Canada. It's a good shot at 3 wide right behind us here. 10 car makes a pass. Good work there.
Now remember, these drivers in the backfield, they have to get a move on because there's a chance that they may not even be racing a little bit later on.
Well, the good news is that the whole pack is still together. I don't believe a single car has lost the draft yet. No, everyone is within 3/10. See the 19 car at the back who had a shot at winning the Clash last week. He is still attached to the pack right now. And while it's not the easiest racetrack to pass, if you look from what he can see, it's where are you going to go? They're side by side all the way throughout the pack. But you can pick and choose your way through these lines and find yourself up at the front in no time. And also, you know, these you got to pick the right line. The bottom right now is pretty organized. The top's a little bit scattered, and that's why they can't gain any time right now. But they'll sort it out.
No, certainly, and it is going to be needed to sort it out pretty quickly, of course. Only 40 laps tonight. Now, it sounds like a lot, but it will go by quite quickly. We've already had 7 of them underway. Once again, that outside, everybody being very respectful, that outside line is falling back currently. You can see the inside gaining an advantage. Now, the real question, Morgan, are tires going to be a play here tonight?
No, I wouldn't be too concerned about tires, especially for 40 laps. My guess is you need to make 1 pit stop, and you would be doing fuel only just to get off pit road quickly. Handling's not a huge deal, Daytona and Talladega. More so at Atlanta for the style of racing, but we're not in Atlanta. We're in Daytona, the mecca of motorsports, so no need for tires here.
Fair enough. 31-degree banking on that outside, 18 on the inside, or yes, I think that's right. With course, our previous week race winner, G. Turner, he is nowhere in sight as it stands. In fact, I'm not even sure he is in the session. He might not have made it. But anyways, we have a couple. I think Burns, who finished in 4th, is our highest place finisher right now. He's looking to gain a little bit more, obviously, but he's locked himself in, though, for that qualifying. What am I saying? So I guess he's just out there for the fun of it.
Yeah, if you win the pole, or if you win this race, 1, you get a win. Win is important. And 2, you get to show to everybody else, I have the fastest car here. I sat on the pole, I won the race, try and stop me. And it's a little bit of a flex on your competitors. I think that's exactly what the 9 car's going for right now.
Let's see if he can keep it up. And see, once those cars get to the outside line, lovely perspective here. You can ride on board with John Fike. Gives you a sense of speed as those walls very close, but not quite as close as last week. There is the rest of the field. We also have a shout out in chat from the number 39 car, who we're going to be seeing out on track a little bit later on. And Burns picking up right where he left off on V-Speed. Yeah, Burns is absolutely crushing it currently. And as you said, making a statement to the rest of the field saying, just because I qualified pole and I'm going to be starting first anyways, well, I might as well send that message a little bit stronger. 10 laps completed here. And Nail seems to be fairly content. He hasn't gone too aggressive towards any outside lines. He's been just sticking in that slipstream and not trying to get eaten up himself by the rest of that pack.
Ready for this one? Chris Nails in 2nd place. Way to do that all day.
Can he make it one more, though? That is going to be the question. So I guess, I'm assuming, though, that would be a P1 finish for Nail, for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, that's right. If the pole winner, the 9 car, if he ends up winning this race, then they will line up where the 88 car would start. In this case, if it finishes right as it is right now, the 88 car would start 3rd. Car behind him would start 5th, et cetera, because the pole winner and the race winner were the same car.
Seeing a potential 3-wide arc here forming, at least in that mid-pack. Drivers starting to get a bit more eager. Laps ticking down and drivers wanting to get on with it. Of course, we mentioned there may be one pit stop here tonight. Drivers will be taking the fuel at some point now. Obviously, here at Daytona, it's very crucial to work together. If you fall out of that pack, you are going to be using massive amounts of time, and I'm sure, Morgan, you can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, the least fun thing about running at Daytona and Talladega and any drafting track is when you don't have the draft and you're full throttle and you can see the pack pull away from you by 3 seconds a lap. It's really disheartening because there's no amount of car that's going to get you back up there. You need a friend, you need a helper, you need something. So all of these drivers are just hoping and praying that nothing happens in the middle of the pack, because we have a battle for lead here right away, and that they can stay in this group at least until the pit stop. And then they can make their way forward after the pit stop.
The outside line just doesn't seem to be gaining any sort of advantage. You can see these two working together quite well. This is going to be Michael Cali, or Khalil? Can't quite see. Michael Call. Apologies. He is going to be bumping and banging throughout here, rubbing a hole in the front bumper, or the back bumper of the car in front. And obviously, that car is not going to be too concerned. Actually benefiting there from that contact, getting further alongside of Burns here. Moving up, I think that is going to be Sirkovich, the number 18 car that we're looking at here, obviously. And battling for the lead now, Sirkovich. Onto that outside. I said that line wasn't favorable. Seems like it's starting to pay dividends here.
The outside line, as you can see right here, will give you a great run off of turn 2 and turn 4. As the 18 drops down immediately, probably a good move. But the inside line is going to get you where you need to be in the corner. You're going to gain into the corner and through the center while the outside pulls you up off the corner. And it also depends on how well everything's organized behind you. Right now, both lines are equal, have about the same amount of cars in them, and they're all about the same distance apart. So It's really just about who of the front four can stick together the best. Later in this race, it's more of a numbers game, but for right now, they're all just kind of testing out the waters and seeing what their cars can do.
It is absolutely incredible to see the support here for Burns in chat. Plenty of people cheering him on here tonight. We got Shannon in chat. We got Debbie, Drivers Network, GT500 Cobra, Grant cheering himself on a little bit later as well. Love to see it. Welcome, everybody. While you guys are alongside here, if you guys want to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that bell notification to know when we go live here at V-Speed, it would mean a lot. It's free here on YouTube. Lancaster also starting to work his way into the conversation along with Erhardt. As I do the pit side, I look away and they made, I think it was pit side. No, Burns has just fallen. Burns has fallen all the way down to 8th as it stands. Interesting. Erhardt, Lancaster currently in it for the lead. Some lovely liveries as well, I gotta say, put into this championship. Love the Chapman Environmental Services, the Bug liveries. Super cool. Of course, this series brought to you by Chapman Environmental, Chapman Environmental Cup Series, and as well as avocados from Mexico. Erhardt here, under pressure from Nail. There is that avocados from Mexico sponsor as well on the front bumper. Erhardt here onto the outside, going to have a much better run onto the super straight. You can see that is very true. The overspeed is massive as he has that Camry also in his rear bumper. A change of lanes there. So far, drivers being once again very, very nice to each other. Very respectable. Just trying to keep each other alive as well as themselves.
This will be the point in the race when the outside line starts to fall back, as we can see here coming off of turn 2, that there are only 6 or 7 cars on the outside line, where there are a whole lot more on the inside. The inside, they can tuck it up a little bit better right around where Burns is. They get a little bit closer together. Should be able to start marching as the outside line is going to take the lead here into turn 3 and 4.
Holy smokes, the 23 car there of Holloway just pushed Schaefer, Schaefer all the way into the lead there. What a shove. Got a great exit onto the corner and just planted his front bumper into the rear there of Holloway and made that one work for a while. Schaefer seeing if he can hold on to it. Obviously, the lead will be changing back and forth here. We also have Pickle Seinmer in P battling as well now for the pole position.
Little shake and bake here. Top side for the 40 car. He's going to take the lead. Great run into turn 3.
But this is where we're going to see when you have all of that air pushing down onto your car and you're punching that massive gap for the cars behind you there, and keep with you that whole time. And as we come to the line here, we are now halfway into this race. Of course, this race also brought to you by Erhardt Homes, rehabbing Central Oklahoma, one home at a time. Property selection, design, and construction. Erhardt Homes, love where you live, an Erhardt Group LLC company.
You want to see something concerning? It's no cars out the rear view on your lane. That's a scary feeling, because any kind of slip up in this top lane where there's only 2 cars, and you're not going to be able to keep it going. Oh, we're pitting right now. Oh, and we're wrecking right now.
Oh! And that is going to be awful. Looks like a miscommunication here is going to have the caution flag come out on lap 20. You can see all of the cars. There's no caution flag yet, somehow, despite the fact that there's a car stranded. It looks like we're actually going to stay green. How the heck did we stay green there, Morgan?
Little iRacing rule that if the caution occurs off of the racing surface, it's not a caution at all. And that was definitely on the entrance to pit road, not on pit road either. So off the racing surface, out of sight, out of mind is how iRacing feels about that.
Incredible. Very, very interesting. We have Rader now up on pole position, Robert Rader, with John Fike in P2. Cars tucking into the pits, though. We're going to see a big shakeup for positions. And while we're on that, Gabriel Malu in chat. Hello and greetings from Argentina. Welcome, Gabriel.
We're going to go for a replay on that 23 car, see if we can figure out what happened there. He was part of that incident.
As we see here, getting in the middle, we'll go back a little bit further and see the 23 car here on the outside. Cars tucking into pit lane.
Oh,
Interesting, the overspeed from...
Yeah, the 21 didn't realize that the 23 was going to pit road. A little bit of a pitting from the high lane situation, which is a typical no-no in superspeedway racing. Just a lack of communication, and everyone is... there's 2 cars wrecked out of this race now because of that incident, but these things happen.
And, yeah, Peyton, I can understand that. It's just iRacing, obviously, you know, not having the format. The positions are going to still be, I think they will not be counting in their place, but obviously I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. But as it stands, for Jay Burbo, apologies on this pronunciation, I'm assuming that is not correct, but what I am going with. Currently leading the race. We're on board here with Al Lincoln's, Lincoln's, yes. In a bit of a scrap, working his way up to the top in P3. You can see they're bumping each other along here. They still need to make their pit stop, though, obviously. For the field, going to be a little bit spread apart here. I'm assuming this pack will come in as a clump.
I believe they've pitted already. I believe they were part of that first group that pitted.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
so the undercut here.
Because we tracked the 19 off of pit road. He's the leader, leading me to believe that everyone has pitted already, and the 19 just happened to cycle out early because of that incident that happened at the start of the last pit cycle.
Wow, interesting. So that's going to be, well, I think Burbo going to be happy where he's found himself at this stage of the race. Diaz behind and Lincoln's in P3. Going to be calling up in 4th.
And Jeremy Burns is the first car, last car on the lead lap. He's leading this little mini pack of 3 cars here. Again, his position doesn't matter in this race. He's already locked up the front row starting position, pole for the Daytona 250. So all he has to do is just finish these last 15 laps.
And he's found a little helping group along just in front of the pack, actually, is going to be, well, no longer on that lead lap soon, it looks like. They might even be within that slipstream of the pack ahead of them. Looks like they might be just slightly, but that is going to help every little bit. The teamwork amongst these drivers.
Now, there's still a ways back. You need to be within about 1.1, 1.2 seconds to be able to get the draft. They're still 3.1 back. So it's going to be a ways for that second pack to get there, but running too wide, which I think you can see right here, is definitely not going to do it for them. They got to be single file like an arrow and drive up to this lead pack. And right now they are stalling out on lap time, being too wide.
I got to say, I love that livery from the number, is that 26? I can't, 21?
Oh, the 21?
Who's that?
This
The
one
21.
right
I think it's the 21. Yes.
This guy right here?
Of Holloway here. The kisses. Yeah, just nice little kisses for that rear bumper. As we're about to see one right now, it looks like. And there's the kiss. That is, of course, teamwork without being teammates, as you have to do on the Daytona circuit. Absolutely mandatory to have a pack of cars, or be in a pack of cars, as we said earlier. You know, in circuit racing, one of the popular strategies, of course, is to go for the undercut, try to pit early, get out in a clean bit of air. Well, no, not tonight.
No, you definitely want to pit with other people. You need to pit with at least 3, 5, I think, is the optimal number, because you can control everybody. Anything more than that, it gets a little bit messy. Like if we look back through this pack, you'll notice that they're broken apart. They're not terribly close to each other. They are single file, yes, but there's a huge gap. That's 4 car lengths between the 41 and the 43. You got to be tighter than that if you're going to make this up.
It seems like that incident.
Go ahead.
It seems like that incident playing a little bit of a role into what we're seeing. Obviously, I know that obviously everyone having to take avoiding action, some people having to make minor repairs if they chose to do so. That causes a bit of a scramble. But for the most part, I will say the field has spread out a little bit.
That is what 3 seconds looks like. First and second, back to third.
There's a lone pack of cars on the other side of the track as well. I'm not sure who is in that little cluster. That's a big cluster. What am I talking about? Or no, this is, excuse me, this is the same.
Right, this is the same group.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I want to see that other little cluster on there. There's a few cars.
There's the 42 all alone.
The lone runner,
There's a little
Sam
group.
Taylor, oh no.
There's Chris Snail, is that Bresnock, Shell, and Taylor all running together. Oh, and the lap down 18 car of Surf. I'm not even going to try that one. The 18 car. Jacob's running that car. I don't want to butcher your name on all over live TV. Sorry about that. Back up to the leaders here. This gap is maintained, and that's scary if you're in the second group who is too wide, and that is not going to be efficient. Yet 10 laps to go, and you could have got there, but instead a little impatience possibly, and just not good working together, because that lead trio is pulling away, and the 89 just took a turn there. Great save.
Yeah, it did. Whoa! Cutting back through the grass onto the track. The number 20 car giving him a big scare. That was very close. Also, interesting fact here from Gabriel Malu, I'm assuming. And he's a pilot in the Dakar, that is insane. You're a Dakar pilot? So what sort of machinery are you going to be? I'm assuming you're a co-pilot then. First off, wow. that's insane. But wow, that's awesome. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that, Gabriel. This is, of course, going to be, we're looking at Michael Call battling in that P10 slot, or back and forth for the top 10, trying to hold his position into it.
So these are your top 2 right here. Sorry, Mike.
No, worries. Go ahead.
Yeah, these are your top 2, the 19 and the 26. They have 3.7 seconds, and that gap is finally closing now. Ahead of third place. The 9 car not part of the fight. Neither are the 42, and I believe that is the 21, 23, farther behind them, not part of this fight. But as it stands, they are 9 laps away from settling it amongst themselves, which is really all you can ask for at Daytona.
That's incredible. We're going to have a little duel at Daytona in the duel at Daytona. Awesome. Of course, this being the Avocados from Mexico duel at Daytona. Also, it's so hard to take an eye off this action, but a little update there from Gabriel. He's a virtual Dakar pilot in trucks. That's awesome. That's so cool. What simulator is that on? That's amazing.
Lap cars moving high. That's the kind thing to do. Don't slow the momentum of the pack fighting for the lead lap. We're down to
a lot of
3
respectful
seconds.
driving here tonight.
We have been. This has been the tame duel, I would say. We've only had the one incident. But I would be concerned if I was the top two, because the jaws theme should be playing as this lead is being cut down very, very quickly.
Yeah, being out on their own like that. Obviously, they have a pack of 3, but they aren't really gaining on the rest of the field. Fike is going to be trying to reel that in. We also have an Erhardt supporter in chat there, so cheering on Terry in chat, cheering on the fellow Erhardt. Love to see it. Who's your favorite drivers in chat there, everybody? I'd love to hear who you're supporting as we approach the end of race 1 here tonight, but do not go anywhere, of course, because the Avocados from Mexico duels, there is a race 2. And we are going to be seeing this all again. .8 seconds is the gap, and closing was 3 seconds not too long ago. Question is it a bit too much? It seems that gap, I think, is maybe a bit, I mean, it's one thing to catch, it's another thing to overtake, but I think that gap might be a bit too much of an ask. 2.5 seconds though now, and closing, it's going to be very, very close.
Well, you'll notice that the 9 car is no longer leading this pack. And I think there's a little inefficiency there. I believe that 19 was a really good pusher, maybe not a great leader. Because right now, that was 6/10 that lap. That third place caught up, and they are moving. You can see the closing rate through 1 and 2 here. Just watch how fast they're closing in on these 2 leaders.
That gap is now 1.6 seconds. There is almost no way they are not going to be cut. I think you are 100% right there. Now, obviously, as we are looking at the results here, one of the drivers to keep an eye on, or well, both of the drivers to keep an eye on, of course, Burns and Robinson are going to be through to the next round. I think Robinson was obviously the next split, but this is going to be Burns' split. He is going to be starting in P1 of the Daytona 250 next week. Nice blue flag, pseudo blue flag. Obviously no blue flags in NASCAR, but whoa, no, car off there as I say that. Now, is that going to be the caution? Looks like that car is heavily damaged, but still moving and should be able to make it back to pit lane. Big hit, though, at the end, and that is going to be utter disappointment for, for the likes of that car, though.
Daniel Holloway.
Holloway, oh, he was on for a great result as well at one point, unfortunately.
He was involved in both incidents tonight, the pit road issue and that one on the backstretch. And I think that was just a block from the 19 trying to keep his position that stacked everything up like an accordion, and all of a sudden, they're all wadded up.
Notice now the gap, 0.2 of a second. You can't quite see it, but if we went on board with Raider, I guarantee you would see the bone that they're going to be chasing currently, Pike and Burbo. It's actually the number 9 car involved in that on the previous lap. But that 19 car, that is our leader. So now immediately into the pack, and almost like that lead never even mattered, because we see Raider take this. Currently, Fike, they're diving to the inside, or no, that's Murphy. Murphy coming into it here at the very end, 2 to go. The number 12 car trying to sneak in. He wants that P3 finish, or P3 start, excuse me. Through the banking again, though. Fike back and forth between Raider and Fike. Erhardt sneaking into it as well. The Erhardt fans might be on their feet here tonight. We'll see. we are going to have the pleasure of speaking with the winner after this. And as we approach the white flag here, this is going to be the white flag presented to you by Erhardt Homes. Love where you live. The 41 car going at it there. Elbows out here for Erhardt. Diaz also into the mix. Currently, Raider, though, is on that outside line and leading. The 26 car dives the inside. Big block, though. The 49 trying to carry the momentum, gets blocked. The 53 is not letting anyone through. Or is he? The 26 car of Kyle Diaz slips in. There's the big one that everyone's expecting. And it looks like Kyle Diaz gets overtaken by Robert Raider at the very end. There's contact. Diaz not able to get it done. Robert Raider takes the win for the first race here tonight of the Avocados from Mexico duels at Daytona. That is going to be a P3. Started 7th, led 7 laps. Manages to come across the line on the most important one.
Well, Daytona never disappoints, right? The finishes of these races are always crazy. And no exception there. That was wild stuff.
Yes, that was a little bit of bumping, a little bit of banging. I'm not even sure who all got caught up in the end there, but that was definitely a bit of carnage. As it stands, though, Robert going to be absolutely thrilled. He made it through the slog and came across. Starting in 7th, too, is no easy feat. As we get ready, we'll be hopefully trying to wrangle him up at some point. Obviously, he's got to do his donuts. Those are mandatory before you head on over to the interview room. But what a race. Very calm, very respectable all the way until the very end. That was when things kind of, well, Morgan, might you say, went out the window?
That's right. That's right. We should see if we could find him as we are gridding for our next event. And see if we can get him in for a quick interview before we go live with the next one.
As we attempt to wrangle him up. Let's see, where... he's not nowhere to be found. But anyways, if anyone can get a hold of him, that would be lovely. Loads of congratulations in chat. Once again, welcome everybody. If you guys are enjoying, do hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and that bell notification to not miss a thing here at V-Speed. Plenty of flag-to-flag racing. This, of course, being the Racing Revolution series here at V-Speed, brought to you by the Chapman Environmental Services.
All right, Mike, we found him. We're going to bring him into the studio here. Hey, Robert, it's Morgan and Mike up in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
All right.
How's it going, Robert? It's Mike here.
Yeah, sorry, Mike.
Sorry there. Sorry about that, Morgan.
We're going to make this one quick as we're pacing for the other event. Crazy finish. You got it with the last few laps. What did you see out there? And how excited are you to start 3rd in the big race next week?
Well, excited to start 3rd and get the pit box down there. 2/3 a pretty decent spot to have your pit box. So that's pretty cool. Man, the runs that you get, they've always been crazy in this car, but it feels like they're even bigger this year. So just trying to do the best I can to block both lines, and almost got spun to the line. I don't know what happened, man. It was crazy. But glad that we could have a caution-free event there for our first go. Hopefully this next duel puts on as good a show as that one does.
That was definitely a great race. You did what you had to do. You moved up from 7th up to the win. Congratulations, and soak this up for the next week, and we'll see you at the Daytona 250.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. I was going to say I put in some practice, but I won't. We got all the practice we needed tonight, so we'll be ready.
Right on. Hopefully you learned something. I'm going to move you down to another channel, and we are going to go green in duel number 2 right away.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Robert. Confidence. I think confidence is key there for Robert. Seemingly stoic in his victory, not too bothered or not too impressed, but he is more expecting it seems like. But as we have it here, Matt Robinson on pole position. We have Nick Alves in 2nd, Kevin Orlando Jr. in 3rd, and Caleb Gilbert in 4th. The green flag is going to be going into the air soon enough here for race 2. The Avocados from Mexico duels at Daytona here at V-Speed. You get ready here Drivers approaching the line, and we go green, green, green. And again, that outside line going to be falling back here early on. Matt Robinson, though, holding the lead with Nick Alves in second. Can see that third place car there. I think that's going to be Kevin Orlando trying to take to the high line. He thought better of it. Sticks in the slipstream for now. Saw no really route in that. A couple movers, a couple shakers throughout the pack, but mostly everybody being pretty good. Riding along here, with Berger in P3. There's that Hot Wheels livery again that we saw from last week, of course. Turner, in the back of a race win, seeing if he can maybe take it home again here tonight. Maybe take that P4 home. The drivers immediately back to working together. Nick Alves in the lead, though. Back and forth, obviously, with Robbins. Gilbert also involved. Not seeing too much three-wide action. Cars phasing in and out of the planet. It happens sometimes. So far, so good. We see some squirming there of the pack. Cars maybe tucking to the apron there for a moment. The 24 car picking the inside firmly. But no movement, really, as it stands, Morgan.
Yeah, this is where you're feeling out your competitors. You don't exactly know how everyone's driven to this point, and you just want to make it to lap 40. Because if you crash out now, no big show for you. So you're out here biding your time, running. Yes, you're side by side, but you're not running too hard right now. Just trying to log laps, make friends.
Yes, not make enemies as well. Maybe not make friends necessarily, but obviously the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I think we're seeing quite a bit of that here tonight. Obviously, every driver wants the win, but you can't have it by yourself. You got to have friends. Also, Drivers Network America, thank you very much for the kind words. Morgan and I will both appreciate that.
Sure I would if I knew what they were.
That's why I had to mention it, because I know you don't got chat up, but yeah, just giving us a little shout out. So.
Right on. Appreciate it.
Shout out to you.
We're doing our best up here. Try not to butcher any names too bad and bring you this awesome racing action from Racing Revolution. Avocados from Mexico, duels at Daytona. Please don't make me do the jingle again. I'll break it out later, I promise.
I haven't gotten to do it yet, so but we'll see. Chat, if we have enough appreciation, chat, maybe we'll get a little Avocados from Mexico jingle on there. We'll see, or if Avocados shows up themselves. But anyways, of course, we also have, of course, next week on February 21st, the Coastal Financial 250 at Daytona. That is what all of these drivers are heading towards currently. Gilbert, Alves, we have Joa. Apologies once again on the mispronunciations, everybody. But Joia in P4, the number 17 car, making his name their name into the stands. It's so intimidating to have a gigantic Mustang with like a what are these, 5.3s, 6.3s that they're running in these, and just come and give you a little tap in the back.
I think what's scarier is the dead look underneath that Petronas logo through the helmet. The guy hasn't blinked in 10 laps. Look at that.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He's got no tinted visor needed, obviously, as it's a nighttime race, and you can see the whites of his eyes and the determination on the look of Alves there. Oh, a little bit frisky on the high line there. That's not going to be helping their pace too much as they go and they snake back and forth. Of course, turning that wheel at all is going to make you lose momentum. You want to keep your wheel as straight as humanly possible. Sticking with it though. This is Kevin Orlando. We're riding on the bumper or the bonnet of. Hood. Fine. It's an American Racing League. I'll say it. A hood. Oh, there you go. Nice shove. The Camaro getting a nice helping hand. The 27 and the 36 making good friends, or once again, maybe not making enemies at this stage.
And not sure what happened on the inside, but that was a big checkup. Somewhere in the middle of that pack, the 6 car maybe? Yeah, I think it was Jeffrey Israel Jr. who just had a massive checkup and allowed that top line to shoot by, and they're up to P3 in this group now.
Also, eventually when we have a chance to take a look at that rear bumper again, doesn't need to be immediate, but we need to take a look if there is a "this side up" sign on the helmet. It's from chat, apparently DNA saying there may be a "this side up" on the helmet, which would be absolutely hilarious if that's the case.
Well, now's as good a time as any.
It's hard to see, obviously, from here, but okay, here we go. The Camaro or the Mustang going to be closing up. I think that's just part of the. Not sure what you're seeing, but I don't see this side up. Oh, I see the arrow. Okay.
Yeah, that's the
arrow.
Yeah, that's the Mercedes logo.
Yeah. The Mercedes logo is this side up. I mean, it's kind of true though, when you think about it. Kristen Lee cheering on Israel. Welcome, Kristen. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Leah. Apologies. 36 car Berger has taken the lead from Gilbert. Gilbert seemingly strong though, favoring that inside line the whole time and not really budging from it. While Berger, on the other hand, fairly free roaming, picking whichever line he would like to at the moment.
Pop
At
quiz
this
for you,
time, it
Mike.
is the inside.
Why do drivers prefer the inside line at Daytona and Talladega?
That's a great question, because in my mind, the inside line wears your tires more. So, well, I guess I'm just going to go out on a limb and go with the scientific answer. If you're driving a shorter track, therefore you have shorter lap times, but I don't know. You tell me, Morgan.
That is definitely part of it. The other answer is that double yellow line, and that's a wall, because you can't go below it to advance your position. So if you have your left front pinned on that double yellow line, you know that a car cannot legally go beneath you to pass you, meaning you only have to worry about your outside. Whereas if you're on the outside lane like this 27 car is right now, you have all this space to your inside for somebody to pass you, and it's a lot easier to go the short way around, like you mentioned, than the long way around.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Now, obviously, the alternative to that is what I said. You're going to be using your tires more on the inside line. Obviously, you're having to slow down a bit quicker and get on the throttle a little bit earlier in order to compensate for that outside line having the momentum and being able to carry the speed. And it'll wear down over time, but in this race, 40 laps, it's not going to be too much of a concern whatsoever for these drivers.
And at this style of racing, most of these drivers, if we don't have telemetry, unfortunately, that's an iRacing limitation, but most of these drivers probably haven't lifted since the green flag dropped. You don't have to lift off the throttle to make the corner here. You would only lift off the throttle if you were going to run into the back of somebody to ease the bump, like the 54 is going to have here right away if we just ride on the nose cam with this 36. He's pulling the throttle right now, and the 36 is getting out there a little bit, and we're closing in, and eventually we'll get to a point where the 54 will have a run and have to lift, squeeze out of the throttle a little bit to keep right here from knocking the back of this 36 car down, little lift, and now we're going the same speed again. And that's how you draft, that's how you bump draft at Daytona and Talladega without dumping the car in front of you.
That's a very needed talent. One thing we also, speaking of nose cams, we have a couple nose cams ourselves if we don't. We got any driver cams that we could pull up at this current moment for anyone in this race?
Well, let's find someone. How's that? Let's see here. Looking through the field. Let's do, how about Tane McDonald? That's a name I know we have a driver cam for.
Hey, McDonald, unfortunately, not in the highest place positions, not where he'd like to find himself at this current moment, but you can see that mustache of determination looking to move his way up through the field. On lap 13, he is unfazed. Well, him and his mustache are unfazed by what has happened and what is to come.
And look at the focus in his eyes. I mean, when you're running right here, which is where I personally run at these kind of races, I want to be the first or second car just outside the double wide pack. You can't see much, but if you see smoke, you at least have a quick out to the bottom. Now he's on the top side trying to make hay. We'll be pitting here pretty soon, and interesting to see what happens. You can see we're redlining. He's got so much speed in it.
An interesting note as well, a hat under the headset. It's obviously an interesting choice. I personally am not a fan of that myself, at least in terms of comfort, but you know, everyone's got their own opinion. Berger doing a great job, though, I gotta say, so far, of determining the pace of everybody, keeping everyone behind him. You can see a 10th gap forming. How the heck is that? Now that's quite impressive. Obviously, that's the we're looking here at a back marker of a different Gilbert. This is Travis Gilbert.
That's right. Who lost the draft, unfortunately. He's the only car a lap down. Although the 98 of Jackson McGeorge, who is right there, just coming off of turn 4, while the leaders are going in, coming out of turn 2. That is not a good sign for him. But they're also coming out of turn 4. Yeah, so he's a ways down, unfortunately, and losing probably a couple seconds per lap. Unfortunate. Those cars would need a caution to have a chance to get back into this race.
We haven't seen a caution yet. Once again, knock on wood. And DNA also pointing out that with the next-gen NASCARs, you can, on the outside line, you have the advantage, or one of the advantages you have of being on the outside line is that you can go for the side draft, obviously, getting your front nose close to the rear right quarter panel of the car in front, or rear left, rear right in this case, of the car in front, and making it so they not... the side draft is a bit misleading because obviously people think that you gain speed when you side draft, but actually you're making that car wash the air over to you, and it's actually losing speed relative to you. So very interesting and a very good point as well.
And most importantly, it's not that you are trying to slow that car down. So you're trying to break those two cars up. If you look at the 27 right here, he gets down on the door of the 36. It breaks apart the 36 and the 54, meaning they can't push anymore. So the inside line loses all the momentum all the way back, and the 27 and 17 are able to hook up and go to the front.
And she made me do it, asking if Israel can take them to Disneyland. Interesting. That sounds like a question for Israel.
We don't speak for the drivers, we just watch them.
But as it stands, Israel currently P16. He's making his way downtown, quite literally at this stage, but piloting it fairly comfortably at this point. Nick Alves has fallen down the field quite margin as well, I'm noticing, all the way down to P11. He was battling in that front few positions for a while. Seems like he has kind of had to find his own little window here. The back, or sort of back further, obviously he started in P2 as well. Something going awry early on here for Nick Alves.
I don't know if I'd say going awry, or when you start up at the front, you learn what it's like to race up at the front of the pack. And that's a skill all to its own, right? And hey, McDonald's up to second. I don't know how we missed that. But it's important to know how to race up at the front, yes, but you also have to know how to race in the middle and the back of the pack, because it's a different fight altogether. You got guys, slam drafting and doing some huge pushes, trying to go somewhere and making aggressive moves, and it's completely different than what it is up at the front, where you have cars single file, double file, but all pushing and not blocking too terribly hard.
Makes sense. Interesting.
Couple coming down
as well
the road
as
here.
So the first few pit stops now starting as we approach that halfway point. But And actually, in fact, we are now on that halfway point. These drivers deciding to split their stint in half. In fact, once again, we are now halfway through. And this race, just a little reminder, is brought to you by Erhardt Homes, rehabbing Central Oklahoma one home at a time. Property selection, design, and construction. Erhardt Homes, love where you live. Erhardt Group, LLC Company. Ryan Lane up the front, deciding when he wants to make his trip down pit lane. It's Tay McDonald behind him. You saw the mustache of determination pushing Tay along firmly. So he needs to make his stop. We see now a bunch of cars peeling in. Lane's interesting. That is Loveland. Interesting. Loveland stays out with Parker Johnston. All on their own. Now, you'd mentioned earlier you want to pit in those packs of 5 and packs of 3 at a minimum. This could be a massive hindrance here for these two.
Yeah, it's all going to be about efficiency. They have to stay tucked up behind each other, although it'll be tough. You need the third car to keep the 48 up to the O2. That's why that third car is so important. But right now, they are going to be hemorrhaging time to the rest of the field once everyone's up to speed. Obviously, you see that the 84 on your ticker is slowly losing at 4.5 seconds back and gaining. And Lane is about 30 seconds behind and gaining. But now they're coming to pit road. That one lap might have cost them 2 seconds. But we're going to find out once they are finished.
Interesting to see the alternate lines take it into pit lane there.
That is something
I don't think one.
that they do to not run into the back of each other. If you remember in Duel 1, the incident caused was because they had different braking rates. The 21 didn't realize that, I forget the other car, was coming to pit road. 23, I think, was coming to pit road. What you do when you come to pit road is the car on it's leading the pack will go all the way to the inside wall, and they'll fan out all the way up to the yellow line, and then that next car will fan all the way back down, so that you end up having like almost a V coming down pit road. That way that if you have a really aggressive braking entry, you have somewhere to go with it, not into the back of the car in front of you.
That makes sense. Now, for anyone curious, obviously I'm a bit more versed in circuit racing, not oval racing, but
that's why I'm here.
I'm learning here with you guys. Yeah, I know exactly. That's why Morgan, the expert, I'm learning along with you guys at home. So it's very interesting. NASCAR, one of those racing series that is, you always hear the people, it's just people driving in circles. It's like, well, yes, but all circuit driving is glorified driving in circles. So, it really isn't much of a difference between the two, and I've found myself, this is quite the entertaining sport. Obviously, we have a virtual Dakar rally driver in the chat, which once again, still haven't gotten the answer about what sim do you play that on? I'm just curious, what sim has a virtual Dakar? I'm assuming not iRacing.
I would imagine the Dirt Series, but still have to find out.
Yeah, that's a good shout. With truck racing, that's the one that I'm like, are there trucks in the Dirt Series? Well, we're gonna find out soon. I'm very curious to know. And just along for the ride, appreciate it. Thank you all, everybody in chat.
So 3 distinct packs. We got one led by the 44, this lead pack here. One led by the 24, that's the second pack. They're able to see the leaders right there. Then we have one a ways back here. This 93 car, which you can just barely see up there. The top packs, they are about, where is the 93 here? About 6.5 seconds behind the leaders. So they have some work to do, but a lot of race to do it still.
Absolutely. Incredible stuff to come. Also, a fun little fact that I was reading before we came here tonight. Now, Daytona, obviously, we mentioned the Super Bowl of the NASCAR world, but also, of course, that means that there's going to be a lot of fans and a lot of seats. Now, this track has over 100,000 seats spanning over 447 acres of land. I just putting that into perspective compared to your football fields, that is not quite as much real estate that we are going to be seeing for that. but I'm curious what the highest seated. This is probably something, Morgan. I bet you know this on the top of your head. What's the highest seated stadium in America? I feel like you would know that.
Stadium in America? That is a good question. I think I think it's Indianapolis Motor Speedway. If I had to guess. I don't know for sure on that. Chat, correct me. It could be AT&T Stadium where the Cowboys play. That is another contender. I think it's one of those two. The highest capacity stadium in the world, I believe, is a soccer stadium in China. I don't know exactly which one, but I believe that is highest capacity, period.
I knew you would know that. No offense, you just seem like somebody who does.
Help me out, chat. Is that, am I right?
I think also, as we might be reminded here soon, but one that you might have, it was Michigan Stadium, actually, 107,000.
Interesting.
I think that's, I'm assuming that's the college place. I don't know.
I would imagine, yes.
That's quite a few seats.
It is. I may be outdated. If I recall, at one point in time, Indianapolis held 160,000. Although that probably was during the heyday of NASCAR and IndyCar, so that they probably have removed some seats since then. But yeah, I guess the internet will tell us. I just don't have access to it at this point. I'm a little busy, chat.
Speaking of drivers that are a little bit busy, Lane and McDonald in Orlando, they're busy currently in that top 3, trying to get a nice seat for next week. Now, obviously, there are not enough seats for next week. Some of these drivers are going to be knocked out those lower paying positions. Very unfortunate, but the way it goes. Big shove there, and look at the head wobble too. There's so much impact from that bump draft that the driver's head even has a bit of a shake, even with the Hans device holding that thing, locking it to your shoulders. That front pack barely dominant. I mean, if we're looking at the closest pack behind them, Israel also has managed to make his way up into that pack. I know we saw some love for Jeffrey Israel, but Cameron King here, all the way back down in P13, kind of in this other pack that we see, the 48 car leading that one. As it stands, that's going to be Parker Johnston. Car to the car outside there, that's the 85 back marker, getting out of the way very respectfully again.
Yeah, that was fourth position. I'm not really sure why he pulled out there. Overheating should not be a problem with these cars, as there is no grill tape. It's just a piece of mesh that you can't adjust, especially with a fixed setup, but in real life NASCAR you can't adjust it anyway. So I'm not sure why you would pull out of that pack to go to the back of it. Regardless, they are losing time. They're about 7 seconds behind the lead pack, and the gap is getting larger. They're going to have to pull something out here pretty quick. They're going to start making up 7 seconds in 10 laps.
Certainly, it is running low on time here. Only 40 laps to go, or 40 laps in general, 10 laps to go. Welcome to Matt in chat. Now, Matt, I'm going to give your last name a shot here, and I apologize in advance for the mispronunciation. But is it Huzinga? Apologies once again, Matt. Please let me know how incorrect I was, but I like to give it a shot. Cheering on Cam. That is going to be, I'm assuming, Cameron King, P13. Trying to make his way by the pack here of Parker Johnston, who's doing, to be fair, a great job of holding this, but that is being a bit of a bottleneck for the drivers behind. You can see still the bump drafting through though, and no drivers really making a move. Now, one thing that I could have predicted, and I saw just in my homework that I was doing of oval racing, is you can see some drivers, they just sense an incident coming and they might move to the back. Is that, Morgan, is that a thing in your experience?
Oh, yes. Yes, I have definitely done that before, and I've been right more times than I've been wrong. I don't like running in the middle of the pack, especially when they're too wide, bouncing off each other. I prefer to either be the leader, but I've been wrecked from the lead before. I prefer to be the first car behind the pack when they're double file. When they're single file, it doesn't really matter because they're all kind of riding. But when you are at the back of this pack, let's pick on the 84 here. This is a pretty safe place to be because you can see everything happening. If they're too wide, they're wrecking in front of you. You have an easy out to the bottom, or you can weave through it cars style, like we saw the last lap of last week. But yeah, everywhere is scary when you're at Daytona and Talladega. You never know where the crash is going to happen, and you never know if you're going to be part of it or not. It's really hard to avoid these things. So yeah, a lot of drivers will bail out of the pack to try and avoid it, and sometimes they're even right about it.
So far, if that was the case, it doesn't seem to have paid off. No cautions flying as of yet. But also, if anyone is curious, Talladega, we are going to be, of course, heading there as this calendar does follow the NASCAR calendar. We are going to be heading there on April 24th. Now, that's a ways away, but do mark it on your calendar. And be here for the V-Speed Virtual Talladega. And here we have some updates. So, from Shannon, it is in fact the Michigan Stadium at 107,000 people is the highest seated stadium. We also have the Indianapolis. Oh, here we go. So interesting. So the racetrack, the highest, you are in fact correct. The highest seated racetrack is actually Indianapolis at a whopping 257,000 people. 400,000 if you count the infield.
Wow.
The highest capacity stadium in the world.
Oh, interesting.
That's insane.
I'll give myself a quarter mark for my answers then. Thank you, chat, for helping me out there. That's a little knowledge for the bank. I'll be using that later in the season, believe me.
And I think that stadium that you were mentioning, that one potentially in China, now correct me, I'm not sure, it's just off the name, but the Nareda, if I mispronounced this, that was at the Modi Stadium at 167,000 people, and I'm assuming that's a non-American football or a soccer stadium. But yeah, thank you, chat. Thank you for the updates. And yeah, you've now given Morgan some more fuel to be used in the fire later on, some more ammunition in his belt.
The 44 is dropping back. I said I'd do it.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know what's going on here. Was leading.
This looks to be intentional almost. I mean, he could have tucked back in. He is going to... He's not tucking back in it.
This is the last
there
car. He's in there now. Yeah, I'm not sure why he fell all the way back. It doesn't really make sense with 5 to go. I mean, he was already leading. He's already in the catbird seat. I guess we'll find out. 39's going to get out of his way.
Interesting.
But this is
just like...
Oh, you know what it might have been? Is the... Sorry to cut you off there. Is that second pack is gaining. They have gained a second and a third since we started talking. They're down to 5.7. And with 5 to go, that's not an outrageous number. We saw it took about 2 laps to erase 3 seconds in that last duel. So that second pack is coming, led by Parker Johnson.
Fascinating stuff here. We might even see a similar finish to our previous race, as the cars are going to be bunching back up at the very end. 27 here, chasing the 29 for the lead of the race. Tay McDonald and his mustache firmly holding on. Perfect timing, Morgan. You can see the focus. There is that he is dialed in at this current stage. Definitely not going to be phased. Lovely equipment as well.
That looks
Big
like
old
a
racing wheel.
It's like a Fanatec NASCAR wheel. That's what I'm seeing right there. Used to have one of those. Nice equipment. Treating him well right now.
We're down to 3 to go here. Donald trying to hold on. Orlando pressuring where he can. Lynn's trying to sneak up from the back, and Alves, excuse me, who started in P2, trying to make his way up into that fight as well. He stands, though, P5. This is, once again, that lead pack. Not much changing yet. key word on yet. Every driver here is saving every ounce that they have for the very end here.
Update on that second pack. Parker Johnson, he is coming. We're down to 4.5, and he very well may get there just in time to spoil this party.
Oh my! Got to sit up in the chair here as we approach the final laps here. The Avocados from Mexico duels at Daytona. Part of the inside there, is that Robbins? Oh, it's Bennett. Bennett falling down a little bit there. Israel also in a bit of a contentious position as they have a big scrap. But as we now are going to be heading to the line, this is, of course, going to be, as we get there, there we are, the white flag here presented to you by Erhardt Homes. And love where you live. Oh, and there's already a crash. There's going to be off and collecting into the middle of the pack there. Multiple cars involved. Tay McDonald is not phased, though. Continues on for now. Kevin Orlando Jr. trying to hold on. You can see the carnage in the background. Pay no mind to the flaming room back there. Pay attention to what we have here. 3 wide finish to the end, it looks like it's going to be. And I think Tay McDonald, oh no, there's a crash. It looks like Tay McDonald holds on though, gets a bump draft there from the very end of Matt Robbins. Matt Robbins already has secured his slot though into this championship, or into the next race. Ryan Lane trying to sneak in as well. Matt Robbins into the outside, but no, it is going to be Tay McDonald, followed up by Ryan Lane and Matt Robinson at the very end. Tay McDonald finds himself the P4 start for next week.
The crazy thing about that is that if the one car doesn't hit the wall, the one car wins the race. That's how close it was coming down to that checkered flag. That was, yeah, that reminded me a lot of the 2007 Daytona 500, the finish. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, that was the Kevin Harvick, Mark Martin drag race. Go have a look for it if you haven't seen it before, but similar sort of feeling there. Let's go find our Duel 2 winner, Tay McDonald.
Yes, indeed. Excited to hear from him as he's going to be buzzing a little bit probably. That was quite that got the blood pumping, I would imagine, at the end there, getting pressured like no other. But he managed to hold on all the way to the very end, despite the chaos, despite the carnage. It looks like we have the man himself. Morgan, take it away.
Tay McDonald, it's Morgan and Mike up in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
We are doing well. We showed you a few times in this race with the driver cam, focused as ever. I can see the whites of your eyes the whole time, no blinking. You ran around the front most of this race at the back to start, and all of a sudden you appeared. And then through the pit stop, you stayed up there. And then you ended up in a great position at the end of this race. Talk us through how this race went for you and how we end up talking to you in Victory Lane.
Well, the goal was to get my teammate up front, the 44 of Ray Lane. Excuse me. He's not guaranteed a spot at the 500 next week, so he was our focus. And then we just had really good pit stops. Him and I were in sync. We come off pit road together, just a 2-car tandem. They did the next pack caught us within a couple laps, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of super speedway racing, but that was one of the most fun super speedway races I've ever had. I hope next week is the same way.
It was definitely a blast to watch. And yeah, coming to the line, I don't know how much you can see outside of your side window there to the right side. The one car had the position on you entering the tri-oval with the restart zone. And did you think you were going to win this race at that point?
I knew that Ray was behind him, and if Ray could get to me, he was going to push me. So it was just try to side draft the one as much as I could. I haven't watched the replay yet. I really hope I didn't run him too tight, but I was trying to run him as tight as I could without putting him into the wall, just because he had such a big run. If he wouldn't have gotten in the wall, it more than likely would have been his. But I got a ton of respect for Matt Robinson, so I really hope that I didn't run him too tight.
Yeah, it was
it's
a
kind
great
of fun.
finish. Yeah, excellent finish. anyone you want to thank for this this duel number 2?
Yeah, first and foremost, got to thank the man upstairs. Without him, nothing's possible. I want to thank my teammates, Ray Lane, Travis Gilbert, Kyle Diaz. I want to thank Chapman Environmental Services, and just for the admins in this league. I mean, this is the best league on iRacing. I can't say enough about it. So just ready to get this season started and super excited. So
awesome. You have anything for him, Mike?
No, I mean, mostly I just wanted to say that mustache was looking fairly focused here today, and it seems that it's paid off.
Thank you. I had a beard for about 4 or 5 years, so I'm hoping this makes me more aerodynamic. It kind of helped tonight, at least.
I would say so. No, awesome. Thank you, Tay McDonald. Once again, your race winner, and going to be starting P4 next week at the 250.
All right. Thank you guys for putting this on. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Thank you, Tay.
Sir.
As we have it, though, that is going to be the end, everybody. We are going to be wrapping things up here tonight. Now, of course, the results of this week are going to be determining the order of next week. As we've mentioned earlier, the P1 starting in P4 and P2 starting in P6, and then 8 for third. Is that right, Morgan, for this race?
Yeah, something like that.
Confusing.
Wrong button, everyone. Sorry about that. Yeah, something like that. It's the duels are always a bit of a mess to figure out, but let's have a look at our schedule going forward, and I'll turn it over to Mike.
Yeah, of course, we are going to be back here next week for the 21st of the Coastal Financial 250 at Daytona. That's going to be the start of our regular season. All of these rules and confusing bits out of the way. We're going to have qualifying, and we're going to have racing from here on out. Jam-packed action, not to take anything away from what we've seen but already. Of course, that's going to be starting at 8:30 p.m. next week. We hope you have enjoyed tonight's broadcast of the Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series. If you did enjoy, make sure you guys hit that like button and that subscribe. Of course, it is free here. That way you don't miss a bit of action here on V-Speed. But from everyone here at V-Speed, Adam Baker behind the scenes, our producer Eddie Smith and Bradley Cooper, and our main producer of the night, Morgan Cook, I'm Mike Noss. Hope you all have a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Thank you, and good night.
What's up, Coach?
Yeah, Troy. You're not going to start this game?
Oh. Did you just sing that you're gonna bench me to the avocados from Mexico jingle?
Well, they make everything better.
Tastes good? They're good for you? No way. Guacamole. That's cool.
That went better than I thought. Get another tray and the kicker.
Avocados from Mexico.
Can I help you?
We just busted the water main.
Did you just sing about a broken water main to the avocados from Mexico jingle?
Yes.
Well, you know how they make everything better.
They taste good, and they're good for you. And
Oh, guacamole.
I mashed it myself.
I like the water shooting up. It's like Vegas.
Ta-da!
Avocados from Mexico.
Been around for 32, almost 33 years. It's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do, like before my time is up at Chapman, it is making sure that we built a company that will stand the test of time. And my goal as the current owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, is to ensure that we can pass the ownership of the organization on to the next generation of people coming up the ranks today. One area of our business where we impact the local communities pretty heavily is the school systems. So we work for school systems all over the northern part of the state of New Jersey. We operate their water systems, their wastewater systems. We do a lot of their permitting and compliance work, and we ensure that the water that the kids drink is clean. We go out and do the sampling to ensure that it's not contaminated. And we also treat the wastewater that's being generated at a lot of these facilities as well before it gets discharged to the environment. So we are supporting the local community through supporting the boards of education and the local school systems.
All About Bugs Tennessee Pest and Termite Control is all about family too. Our family-owned business has successfully been in operation in Sevierville and surrounding areas for almost a decade. Especially during these times, a pest-free home is necessary for a sustainable, disease-free home or business. Our services include residential, rental, commercial, hotel, motel, cabins, you name it. Free quotes and inspections for new customers, and most of our services are contract-free. Our All About Bugs Tennessee family is devoted to delivering the best possible pest control service with a friendly smile. Contact us at 865-453-5574 today.
If it's bugging you, you should be bugging us.
And here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out to 37.
Oh!
No, gets burned!
Cabot, where did he come from? Here comes Dwack.